Good morning, human rights activists all over the world. Welcome back to Communication Workers of America, CWA Human Rights Our Power, a justice-filled hour of talk, solidarity, and worker power right here on KYOK Radio, 1140 a.m. in the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're visiting the beautiful city of Houston, you can carry us home with you on kyokradio.org. Lord, listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org or your CWA Strong app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Pod Chaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Thank you for joining us on the CWA Human Rights Hour Power Radio Show this morning. It's about us. That's right. It's about us. Working agreement, solidarity, living wages, worker power, and simply human rights. Honk your horns if you support workers. Thank you so much. We have a phenomenal show lineup this morning with Micaiah Jones. Somebody's stepping in for Sir Reginald Small, Timmia Wiley, and Tay Akins today. So don't you dare change that dial. We're going to be delving into a lot of things today. So I want you to stay around because we have some phenomenal discussions for you this morning. On this day in history, May 15th, 1970, tragedy struck Jackson State College in Mississippi when local and state police unleashed a 30-second barrage of gunfire on unarmed students. The hail of 150 bullets killed Philip Gibbs, 21, and James Green, 17, and wounded many more. The students had gathered peacefully on Lynch Street, a site of racial tension between the predominantly Black college and nearby white neighborhoods. Tensions escalated after firemen called to extinguish a nearby blaze requested police protection. When a bottle was reportedly thrown, officers responded with lethal force, riddling a women's dormitory with bullets. And despite the president's commission on campus unrest later condemning the act as an unreasonable, unjustified overreaction, no officer was ever charged. Courts acknowledged the overreach but shielded law enforcement from liability. The tragedy at Jackson State, coming just 11 days after the Kent State shootings, stands as a haunting reminder that the struggle for justice, dignity, and civil rights often comes at a steep cost, especially for Black Americans. Today, we honor the memory of Philip Gibbs and James Green and the students who bravely stood for peace in the face of violence. We remember, we reflect, we continue to fight. Our union brothers and sisters and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 30 months striking on the picket lines, and yet while they're striking, they are still turning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. And once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/ppg-donate. And I just heard someone shout, when we fight, we win. On today's CWA Hour Power Radio Show, we shine our human rights spotlight on Sarah Deer. Sarah Deer is an influential advocate for human rights, especially in the areas of civil rights, labor rights, women's rights, and LGBTQIA plus rights. As a Native American scholar and activist, she has been used her platform to bring attention to issues like sexual violence in Native communities, Indigenous women's rights, and the intersectionality of oppression faced by marginalized groups. Sarah Deer's work in the field of human rights stands as a beacon for marginalized communities, emphasizing the intersection of civil, labor, women's, and LGBTQIA plus rights. Her contribution spans across multiple areas, most notably within Indigenous rights and advocacy for women, particularly in the context of violence against women in Native American communities. One of Sarah's key areas of focus has been addressing sexual violence within Native American communities. Through her academic research and activism, she has tirelessly worked to raise awareness of the crisis of sexual assault against Indigenous women, challenging systemic failures that often result in a lack of justice. As a law professor, Sarah has worked extensively with Native communities, offering insight into how federal and state laws often fail to protect Indigenous people, especially Native women, from violence and exploitation. Her expertise has also shaped efforts to improve tribal sovereignty and legal frameworks that ensure Native American women's rights are respected and upheld. In fact, her involvement with the Violence Act Against Women Act, VAWA, particularly the provisions that extended protections to Native women, is a testament to her impact on national policy. Her work has helped in the creation of specialized law enforcement efforts, such as the Tribal Special Domestic Violence Criminal Jurisdiction, which was implemented to close gaps in prosecution for cases of domestic violence in Native territories. Beyond Indigenous rights, Deer's work extends into gender justice, labor rights, and the LGBTQIA plus rights movement. She is an advocate for labor laws that recognize the rights of all workers, particularly those in underrepresented and exploited sectors. She firmly believes in the necessity of comprehensive policies that protect all workers from discrimination, unequal pay, and unsafe working conditions, irrespective of their gender, race, or sexual orientation. Sarah's advocacy extends to the LGBTQI plus community, where she has fought for the inclusion of sexual orientation and gender identity in anti-discrimination laws. Her work underscores the interconnectedness of human rights, how progress in one area often drives change in others, and how the fight for gender equality, LGBTQIA plus rights, and labor rights must be pursued in tandem. Her efforts are a call to action for activists and policymakers alike to ensure that no community is left behind in the pursuit of justice and equality. In all of her work, Sarah Deer stresses the importance of intersectionality, acknowledging that individuals often experience multiple layers of oppression due to their identities. Whether advocating for Indigenous rights, advancing labor protections, or supporting LGBTQIA plus individuals in their pursuit of equal rights, her work brings to the fight the multifaceted challenges that people face and seeks to create a more inclusive, just society for all. Sarah Deer's work is a vital contribution to the ongoing struggle for human rights and social justice. Her efforts to elevate the voices of Native American women, labor activists, and LGBTQIA plus individuals serve as a model for those working across various movements. By focusing on systemic change and advocating for the rights of marginalized groups, Sarah has helped shape policies and foster deeper understanding of how intertwined our struggles for freedom, dignity, and justice truly are. This has been CWA Our Power Radio Show, Human Rights Spotlight on Sarah Deer. Stay tuned, stay informed, and stay in the fight. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us. Tune in every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, and a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org. The CWA Strong app, or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Up next, we're having our human rights segment, and standing in today, we do have a guest. And since Mr. Reginald Small is traveling around the country today, we do have a guest for him, and I want to set the stage for this next segment. One of the things that I personally advocate for and I am passionate about is our veterans. So I want all of you that are listening to us this morning to just stay right here, listen very closely, because one of the things that the services or veterans, um, when they enter into the services, one of the promises that is made to a veteran is that we're going to take care of. And that's what it seems to me when they sign up for the armed services. They're risking their life for this nation. And that promise to me includes care, dignity, and respect. But right now, that promise is under attack. What we're seeing is a calculated attempt backed by billionaires to dismantle the Veterans Administration as we know it. And it's a reckless plan, and it's called the Doge Plan, and it would eliminate nearly 1 in 5 VA jobs. And that would put 83,000 positions on the chopping block. That means less care, fewer services, and tens of thousands of veterans left behind. Many already battling trauma, suicide, cancer, homelessness, and more. And this is not just a budget cut. This is a betrayal of the sacred trust owed to all of those who served. Veterans held up their end of the bargain. And frankly, my brothers and my sisters and siblings, now it's time for Congress to do the same. To help us understand the gravity of this moment and what we must do to fight back, please join me in welcoming a strong voice for justice and accountability, someone who has long stood up for workers, veterans, and the dignity of public service. Let us welcome to CWA Our Power Radio Show, Mr. David Marshall. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Errol. Good morning, Union brothers and sisters, and all those that are tuning in to the CWA Our Power. I'm David Marshall, the Executive Vice President of CWA Local 6215 in Dallas, Texas. And I'm here this morning to spotlight some troubling news out of D.C. I'm sure by now we've all seen the disturbing images of the current administration's Doge frontman and richest man on the planet wielding a chainsaw in reference on how they plan to cut government spending. These actions will have a real-life impact on Americans, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. My focus today is the cuts they plan to do at the Department of Veterans Affairs. As a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, this news troubled me. It troubled me so much that myself and veterans from 28 states with the organization Common Defense, a grassroots veteran nonprofit, organized over 60 appointments with legislators and their teams. We were there to voice our opposition to these blanket cuts that would definitely impact the care that our veterans receive. The Department of Veterans Affairs is planning to cut 83,000 jobs, slashing employment by over 17% at the federal agency that provides health care for millions of veterans, according to an internal memo that was obtained by the Associated Press back in March 2025. The VA manages and directly provides comprehensive services for veterans. These services include health care, short-term, long-term housing, life insurance, pension, education stipends, and assistance in jail and courts. The VA also engages in path-breaking public health research. 1/4 of the VA's 480,000 employees are veterans. For the past month, Doge and the current administration's federal spending cuts have been causing numerous hardships for government employees and the agencies they work for and the people they serve. But veterans are among those hardest hit, and the impact goes well beyond job loss. Federal law requires employers to give veterans an advantage in hiring over people who have not served in the military. Under the 1944 Veterans Preference Act, employers should hire veterans over other candidates and retain veterans over other employees during layoffs. The idea is to compensate for the economic loss of serving in the military and acknowledge the government's obligation, especially to support disabled veterans. Due to this veterans preference, nearly 30% of federal workers are veterans, half of whom are disabled. This means that veterans who make up 6% of the US population are disproportionately affected by federal worker cuts. Cuts to federal workforce are also affecting medical care for veterans. The Veterans Health Administration workforce constitutes 90% of the VA's 400,000 workers, so cuts to the VA workers means cuts to health care. These cuts come at a time when veterans' health care needs are increasing. The VA enrolled 400,000 veterans in its benefits system from March 2023 to March 2024. That's 30% more than the prior year. It also expanded eligibility for service members to receive VA care. The administration's cuts will make this more difficult for VA to provide health care for these newly eligible veterans. Staff shortages have led to long wait times for care. These wait times vary from days to months, with some VA clinics so understaffed that they're unable to take new patients for primary care or mental health needs. Staff increases over the past few years have shortened the wait times while providing care to more veterans. And in 2024, the VA said it was working hard to fill its 66,000 vacancies, aiming to improve health care for more than 9 million veterans it serves. But now, just 1 year later, the VA faces the loss of 83,000 jobs. These cuts may contribute to fundamental changes in VA healthcare. Rather than help veterans directly, the VA may pay for veterans to seek medical care outside of the VA system, leading to higher costs and lower quality. But it doesn't stop there. Cuts to social services and the country's Veterans Crisis Line, which both the VA and the Department of Health and Human Services oversee, is losing employees to layoff despite existing staff shortages. Current data shows now an average of 17.6 veteran suicides per day. Suicides remain the second leading cause of death among veterans under 45 years old. The current VCL caller data is not publicly available, but an internal staff report states that the field services about 60,000 calls a month. In the past, the VA has reported nearly 3 million calls between 2009 and 2017, which led to 82,000 emergency dispatches to prevent veterans from harming themselves. The VA steadily increases crisis line staffing to address those concerns, given the volumes of calls, and veterans were not receiving help in a timely manner. Fewer staff, already suffering from burnout, undermines this work, as callers already at a high risk for suicide will face longer wait times and improper care. These are some of the issues we took to our elected officials in both chambers on both sides of the aisle. We pressed them on if they supported these cuts and if they would stand with veterans to improve the VA, not cripple it. Some of our elected officials walked briskly of trying to avoid our questions, but others gave promises that these cuts would not impact patient care. And a few took us in their office and listened to our concerns and gave us feedback that they would take a measured approach to any cuts to the VA. None of us veterans that receives care at the VA believes that the VA is perfect. Nothing is. And we can always find ways to make things more efficient and cost effective to reduce waste, fraud, and abuse. But let's take a measure twice, cut once approach. Make cuts with a scalpel, not a chainsaw. Veterans risked everything to defend this country, and in return, we were promised care, dignity, and respect. That promise now is under attack. The DOJ plan to eliminate literally 1 in 5 VA jobs would devastate care, put tens of thousands of veterans out of work, and betray our nation's obligations to those who served. From the moment a young American raises their right hand, swears an oath, America makes a solemn promise in return that their sacrifice will be honored and their care guaranteed. Gutting the VA violates that sacred trust. Our military depends on trust in the belief that our nation will treat us honorably, and when that trust is broken, it doesn't just hurt veterans, it hurts our nation. Caring for veterans isn't a matter of charity or convenience. It's a fundamental obligation of a strong, honorable nation. Undermining the VA betrays the very values that keep America strong. So, you may be asking yourself, well, what can I do? Well, for starters, you can demand this from your member of Congress. Have them hold veteran town halls so they can get the input from those that will be directly affected by these cuts. Then ask them to publicly oppose any funding cuts or restructuring plans driven by DOGE. Ask them to hold hearings to demand accountability and transparency on VA staffing and care impacts. Ask them to introduce or support legislation restoring budgetary decisions back to Congress. And lastly, ask them to stand with veterans, not billionaires. It's really that simple. So in closing, I'm going to leave you with this. It's been said that the United States military has the greatest fighting force that the world has ever seen. So there is no reason why the military and its veterans shouldn't have the best health care the world has ever seen as well.
You're absolutely correct, David. And thank you so much for stepping in today for that old Reginald Small.
I tell you what, there's some big shoes to fill, and I'm not going to try. I'm just going to dip a couple toes in.
All right, that's no problem.
Excellent job. Very well stated.
Excellent
David.
Job. Yes,
Very well stated.
yes. So, yes, that's this week's spotlight on justice, training, and power in the hands of CWA members across the country. Keep teaching, keep transforming, and keep tuning into the CWA Our Power radio show where unity meets action. And since we're already over in District 6, we want to give a great big shout out to CWA District 6. All gains, no give backs. Huge congratulations to District 6 for securing a strong new contract through tough negotiations with no takeaways and all gains. This is what union power looks like when members stand united and leadership stays committed to protecting and advancing worker rights. Shout out to the bargaining team for their hard work at the table and to every member who voted to ratify the agreement. Your solidarity made this victory possible. Special recognition to District 6 Vice President Derek Osobase for his unwavering leadership and vision. This contract is a win for working people and a reminder that when we fight, we win. Up next, we're going to be talking about from apartheid to asylum, unpacking civil rights, labor, and human rights. So y'all just come on in just a little bit closer because I know this is a little subject that is sweeping the nation right now, and everybody wants to know about Afrikaners, the white Afrikaners from the South Africans that are coming to the United States, and in particular, just found out on yesterday, a lot of them are moving to, guess where? Alabama. So today we delve into the journey of white Afrikaner South Africans from the era of apartheid to their recent migration to the United States. We'll explore how these movements intersect with civil rights, labor rights, and human rights, and what lessons we can draw from our ongoing struggles. The Guardian reports on this that the U.S. granted asylum to 54 white Afrikaner South Africans, highlighting the political motivations behind this decision. And now let me tell you about apartheid. And I know we probably have not talked about this, and there are many people out here don't even know what apartheid may be. But apartheid was instituted in 1948. Did you hear what I said? In 1948, and it was instituted by the National Party in South Africa. And it was a system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination. And Afrikaners, they were the descendants of Dutch settlers, and they were central to enforcing these oppressive policies under apartheid. Non-white South Africans faced severe restrictions on movement, employment, and political participation. That kind of sounds familiar to me. But Nelson Mandela said this, and I quote, "To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity," end of quote.
The
The
recent,
South, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the South African History Archive, provides extensive documents on apartheid's impact and the resistant movement that emerged in response. And come on in, Timmia, because I know you have something to say about it.
I was just going to say that the recent asylum granted to white African or South Africans raises critical questions about racial biases and immigration policies. While many Black and brown refugees face significant hurdles, the expedited processes for these individuals suggest a preferential treatment rooted in racial and political considerations. Another quote from Nelson Mandela, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." The AP News discusses U.S.'s administration's decision to accept white South African refugees while other programs remained paused, highlighting the selective nature of this policy. Black and brown countries have 20 and 30-year long waiting lists. But as you can see, people from South Africa with white skin are coming right on in. I'm just going to leave that where it stands.
Yeah, and the migration of the white South Africans to the U.S. also has labor implications. These individuals often enter the workforce with privileges and resources not afforded to other immigrant groups, potentially exacerbating existing inequalities. It's essential to consider now. It's essential to consider now how these dynamics affect labor rights and broader the struggle for economic justice. So another quote, Nelson Mandela: "There is no such thing as part freedom." The worldview of the Africanist diaspora now haunts the U.S. explores how the perceptives of Africana immigrants influence labor and social dynamics in their new environments.
And really, guys, we haven't even gotten into talking about the benefits that they are receiving when they come to the U.S. Upon the arrival in the United States, they receive a wide range of federal and state level resettlement. Did you hear what I said? Resettlement services, similar to those provided to other refugees, but it also includes housing assistance, employment services, health care. Did y'all hear that?
Health care. I heard it.
Not only that, financial support, education and language services, and legal services.
Okay, so if we can do that for one, what about the rest?
These are things that, when you look at it, marginalized individuals, BIPOC communities, it's a problem. It's a problem. And the situation underscores, and it really underscores the global solidarity in human rights advocacy, that we must question these policies and these priorities with just certain groups. And I think Makia has something to say. Come on, Makia.
I did, because I'm not sure if I can read. I'm not sure if I can read or if I understand the news, but it seems like those are the exact same programs. Those are the very programs that are being cut for other people, including American citizens. When you look at what is it, the Department of, what is DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, they're looking to cut those programs like Medicaid and health, health benefits and housing benefits for American citizens, people, how they like to say, like, true born American citizens, for people who are born here and have lived here their whole entire lives. They don't even have access to those benefits, or they're being cut from those benefits. So the fact that not only are Americans being cut from those benefits, and it's, virtually impossible for some immigrants to get those benefits because the immigrants are being deported at immigration meetings, and then to have this expedited process for South African Afrikaners is really, it doesn't make sense to me. How are you able to cut a program for everybody else, but then provide that same assistance through those same programs for a particular set of immigrants?
Right.
Aren't we supposed to?
It's like picks and chooses.
I was going to say that. This
is supposed to be merit based.
That's what I'm trying to say. Errol, you said underscore, my kid, or maybe you said underscore. Underscore means slap in the face. Let's just call a spade a spade. This is nuts.
When we have all of these individuals in our own country who need assistance, but it just, to me, guys, it just goes back to the story when we were talking about collateral damage and casualties of war. And that's how this comes off to everybody, that nobody cares about who's already here. We've already been slapped with tariffs and taxes left and right. And I'm like Makia when she said from the Makia, what is your quote from Brigaton? Prayers and salutations. Prayers and
sorrows. Prayers.
Okay, go ahead, Timmia. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. That's all I was saying. It's a slap in the face, and we need to call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to talk about is the fact that we are being made aware that we are picking and choosing. Certain groups are privileged. It is what it is, like you said, Timmia. Call a spade a spade. There's privilege for certain groups, and this is just another example.
And it's blatant, and it's in our faces. It's they're not hiding it because they don't care, and they know that nothing's going to be done about it. Nobody's going to slap them on the wrist. They know who has the House majority. They know who's in office. It just is what it is. What you going to do about it? Period.
And it goes right back. It goes right back to what Makia said. Is this meritocracy? And that's why. And I hate to go down this road, but that is why meritocracy will not work. We're seeing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So for me, my question is, right, because I remember, and maybe I don't, because now I feel like I was in school a very long time ago, but I believed in U.S. government, right? Our government was set up with more than one branch so that we can have checks and balances. That was the whole point, so that one branch or one section of our government would not have more power or control over the others. That's the way that our democracy has been designed. And to live in a space where now it's like we can just do whatever we want, because no matter who is in place where, or what systems are in place, or the way that our society has been designed to keep things balanced, we're going to do whatever we want, specifically for whoever we want to do it for, or we're going to do whatever we want to who we want to do it for, is insane to me. I just don't get that part. It's like the whole purpose of the government is to govern all of the people equally, not selectively.
And you're absolutely correct. As we reflect on these discussions, it's clear that the fight for civil rights, labor rights, and human rights is interconnected, and it's ongoing. And guys, we've got to remain vigilant and committed to challenging policies and practices that perpetuate inequality and injustice. So what do we have to do? We must engage with our local and national organizations advocating for equitable immigration policies, educate the communities about the historical and contemporary issues surrounding apartheid and its global implications. And we've also have to support initiatives that promote labor rights and economic justice for all workers, not just some, but for all workers. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us. Tune in every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your favorite podcast player. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Up next, we have the Union Buster of the Week with Timmia Wiley.
Timmia Wiley here, and this week's Union Buster of the Week goes to a company that says its values and it values its crew, but acts like it fears them. And that's going to be Trader Joe's. Now, I know what you're thinking. Not my favorite grocery store with the Hawaiian shirts and the friendly cashiers. Yep, that one. Behind the tiki-themed branding and cheerful signage lies a much darker reality. When workers began organizing under the banner of Trader Joe's United, calling for safe working conditions, fair wages, and a real seat at the table, Trader Joe's corporate responded not with dialogue, but with discipline, intimidation, and union busting. Let's break it down. Trader Joe's held captive audience meetings, forcing workers to sit through anti-union propaganda on company time. They fired vocal union supporters, especially those helping to organize in stores from Massachusetts to California. In a brazen move, they even shut down their only unionized wine store in New York City, a clear action of retaliation. And the National Labor Relations Board agrees. They've issued multiple complaints against Trader Joe's for illegally disciplining and surveilling workers and for refusing to bargain in good faith. Here's what one brave Trader Joe's United worker had to say. I gave years to this company. The moment I spoke up about safety and fairness, I was treated like a threat, not a team member. Shame on you, Trader Joe's. That's the cost of speaking out in Trader Joe's world. Let's be clear on this. This company made billions during the pandemic while workers risked their health. But instead of recognizing the sacrifice with real respect and fair contracts, Trader Joe's has chosen union busting over bargaining. This is bigger than one company. This is about a system where corporate power fights against worker democracy. From coal mines to grocery lines, the struggle is the same, and we know which side we're on. So to you, our listeners, follow and that's at the @ symbol, Trader Joe's United, and uplift their stories. Ask your local store if they've unionized, and if they have, please show your support. Let Trader Joe's corporate know. Stop union busting and start bargaining. Trader Joe's, we see you. And this week, you're the Union Buster of the Week. Tell all the courageous Trader Joe's workers organizing from coast to coast, we're with you. One store at a time, one voice at a time. This is our power. Trader Joe's, you are the Union Buster of the Week. Back to you, Errol.
Thank you so much, Timmia. This has been your Union Buster of the Week. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all-new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for the CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Up next, we have Tea with Tay. Good morning, Tay.
Good morning, KYOK listeners, and to my union family. So, before I start my segment, of course, I want to shout out our Minnesota family. As you all know, we've been talking about giving our environmental justice training out, and me and Vonda Wilkins have started the process in doing our trainings here. So, we are day 2 in Minnesota. So, I want to give time for our local presidents that are attending our training to say good morning to our radio listeners. So we have first Howard Terry from IUE CWA.
In the house, Howard Terry, President 87140 from Minneapolis. Hello, everyone, my CWA family.
Good morning. This is Lisa Markegard, President of CWA Local 7200 out of Minneapolis. Good work.
Hey, salute to all my CWA friends and family. My name is Kieran Knutson. I'm president of CWA Local 7250 based out of Minneapolis.
All right, y'all.
Thanks,
You're welcome. I always want to shout out our local presidents. They are doing great work here for us, and I am just excited to see that they are attending the trainings with their members. That's important to the members to see leadership leading by example. So, of course, wanted to shout them out, but good morning. You all know.
Hey, Tay, before you get into your segment, let them know that this doesn't count for their time to be on the radio show. They got to come back.
You know what, Errol? I'm ahead of you. I told them that already. I said this is just our introduction to know that next time you come in, you're familiar. So that's all we did. Well, so another segment of Tea with Tay. You know, I'm always excited to get on here with my family where we spill the truth. We're not throwing no shade today. So today's blend is unity, and our mug is full of something bold because labor rights aren't just workplace issues, they're mental health issues, racial justice issues, and LGBTQIA plus issues. And when we unite, we win. So our blend today is a resilience blend, a calming tea like lavender and lemon balm to symbolize peace through struggle. Just like tea takes time to sleep and strengthen, so does our movement. Let's start with the truth. You can't separate your mental health from your working conditions. Burnout, anxiety, depression, those aren't personal problems. They're workplace problems, especially when you're underpaid and overworked and undervalued.
You're right, Tay. And if you're Black, brown, or from a marginalized community, the pressure is even greater. It's heavier. And I remember one time seeing coworkers break down in silence because they felt like no one would listen to them. And that's why we need union power, not just for wages, but for wellness.
And as a Black woman, I've had to show up smiling while struggling. Mental health days should be a right, not a request. And when unions fight for fair leave, safe spaces, and culturally competitive support, we're fighting for our lives. Okay, and I'm a firm believer because you have to get those days, you have to ask for them, get them approved. I'm a firm believer in this phone will not work on my mental health day. So I take it. I refuse to ask, but it shouldn't be a request in the first place. The folks in
Right.
power, they love to divide us by race, gender, job titles, anything. But labor justice is only real when it's all of us or none of us.
Exactly, Tay. Exactly. Look at the Memphis sanitation strike. Black workers demanded to be seen as men, not mules. And it took solidarity to get there. That strike was about labor and dignity, and it's no different today.
Right to work laws, they're wrong for all of us because when they weaken one group of voices, they weaken all of us. But when we fight together, Black, white, queer, straight, rural, urban, we build unshakable power. Talking about change is good, but building it, that's better.
Mm-hmm. And no matter what, you have to start small, check on your coworkers, speak up in meetings, ask your union about mental health resources, host a wellness circle. You got to organize. And if you see unfair treatment, don't just vent about it. Take notes, file grievances, educate others. Power moves in numbers, and we can't stress that enough. Power moves in number. And remember, you can't gatekeep. Don't gatekeep in the movement. Everyone deserves a seat at the table, especially those who have been locked out for the longest.
And I'm gonna just tell you, Errol, that this time, if you don't give me a seat at the table, I'm pulling up my chair by myself. It doesn't even matter anymore. It's time, like you said, it's time to start demanding that seat at the table. It's time for us to start saying, "Hey, I know you probably don't want to pull up the chair for me, but I got it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna make this seat at the table work for me." So,
Yes.
quote of the day: peace of mind isn't a luxury; it's a labor right. And when we protect each other's humanity, we all rise. So, in closing, I want to say, labor rights mean to me dignity.
Dignity. Mm-hmm. It's courage.
It's belonging. And it's healing.
And I got one for you too.
Go ahead, Errol.
Power.
That's the most important.
Yes.
Power. So today's tea, sip slow, think deep, act bold. Because when we come together across races, gender, zip code, job titles, we don't just demand better, we become better. And that's the truth we're sleeping in. So you all have a great rest of your day. And thank you to my KYOK listeners and Union family. Another segment of Tea with Tay.
You know what? I'm gonna jump in here real quick, and y'all might have covered this already, but for me, it means freedom, because with my union wages that I earn, it's freedom for me to be able to raise a family, own a home, be able to live the way I want to live, and have the things that I want to have. I'm not living hand to mouth. So it means a lot to me. And I'm just gonna say that.
Yes. Yes.
And
We
I
didn't
love
say
what
that,
she was
but
saying. I love what she was saying. You know, about the collective. I make this analogy when I'm out organizing, trying to bring folks into the union. You know, if I take a finger, one finger, and I throw my arm at you as hard as I can and hit you with that finger, I'm probably going to break that finger. It's not going to cause any harm except to myself. But when I get all five fingers together and make a fist, then we can make a big impact. And that's how we have to organize and coalition build and get everybody on the same page. Like you said earlier, Errol, you know, when Dr. King was assassinated, he wasn't there talking about civil rights. He was at a sanitation strike, you know, because they were coalition, because that strike had immediate impacts, you know, across the board with poor people, with people of color. We all have the same common issue, and like she said earlier, we just want a seat at the table.
That's it.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And y'all are already getting into next week's show. Hint, hint. While we'll be at the Coalition of Black Trade Unions unionists in Orlando on next week, because we're going to have to deal with our mental health. We've got to really face the facts on it. And we are all workers in our unions. We're leaders. And sometimes the leaders have to know when to take that mental health break and when they have to step back.
We do.
So you're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you on kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your favorite podcast player. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Up next, we have, guess who's back with us today? And that's Micaiah Jones with Awareness Month. Good morning, Micaiah.
Good morning, Errol. Good morning, KYOK radio listeners. Missed you all so much. Happy May. I'm here to talk about melanoma and skin cancer detection and prevention month. And this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm pretty sure all of us know someone that has suffered from cancer, and I do believe that early detection and prevention can help save lives. So let's be clear. Skin cancer can impact all people, regardless of race, gender identity, age, or ability. And yet far too often, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as low-income and LGBTQIA+ communities, are excluded from public health conversations around skin safety. But here's the reality. Melanoma is the deadliest form of skin cancer. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but your skin is the largest organ on your body. So one person dies every hour from melanoma in the US. And Black, brown, and other marginalized patients are more likely to be diagnosed at later stages due to gaps in awareness, access, and biases in healthcare. So this is more than just about skin, it's about justice. Whether you work outdoors, in telecom, delivery, construction, or spending long hours commuting, or if you're a farm worker, or you care for others, sun exposure is a workplace hazard. And that means skin health is a union issue. And while we're talking sun, we can't ignore the heat. Many of our neighbors, especially BIPOC and low-income communities, are urban heat islands, hotter because of environmental racism, fewer trees, and limited shade. That's environmental injustice, and it affects our health on and off the job. So here's how we protect ourselves and each other. Get checked. Ask your provider for a full body skin exam at least once a year, and push for inclusive care that sees all skin tones. Check yourself. Look for changes in moles or skin, especially on the soles of feet, palms, and under nails, where melanoma can hide in melanin-rich skin. Use sun protection. Everyone, all shades, all genders need SPF 30+, and reapply every 2 hours if you're outside. Stay cool and covered. Wear breathable long sleeves, wide-brimmed hats, and take hydration and shade breaks when working in the heat. Speak up. Demand heat protection policies, shaded rest areas, and sun safety education in your contracts and workplaces. Our unions were built to fight for this. And to our trans siblings, disabled folks, and all workers who felt overlooked in traditional healthcare settings, this message is for you too. We see you. You deserve to be included, respected, and you deserve accessible healthcare. So let's change the culture. Let's normalize asking, have you had your skin checked? Just like we do our blood pressure or mental health check-ins. And stay vigilant about it. A lot of times we get persuaded to not follow through. So make sure that you stay vigilant. And because health is collective and safety, there's safety and solidarity, and environmental justice is union business. And I would like to say, if you don't know where to start, if you have melanin-rich skin, I use Black Girl sunscreen. You can find it at many places. It doesn't give you overcast. I am not promoting the brand. I'm just letting you all know what I use, because as a melanated person with darker skin, I tend to get sunburned all the time, and it is painful and it is harmful. And so I'm just letting you all know what I use personally. I also use Fenty moisturizer. There's SPF in there. And back to you, Errol.
So are you trying to say something? Because
No, I seriously, since I was a little girl, I get really bad sunburn, and I would get it behind my ears, because I used to wear my hair up a lot when I was younger. I would get it behind my ears, and on my nose. And I really honestly did not realize, as being a darker skinned woman, that I would even get sunburn in any capacity. So, sunscreen and SPFs have been a huge part of my life since I was a little girl, because I really didn't know until I was burnt up and my skin was peeling. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening to me. And then it was just like, my mom said to me, she was like, girl, you got sunburn. Like, you need to put on sunscreen. So, and then now that they have sunscreen for people of color, because, sunscreen gives you that like white overcast on your skin. Well, traditional sunscreens used to do that. So now that they have sunscreens particularly formulated for people of color, I think that that's also important, because I feel like that's a stigma too. It's like, you think sunscreen, you think of those like old pictures where people have like that white pasty cream over their nose and it, on their elbows and stuff like that. And so I just want everybody to know that it's no longer like that, and that, there have been changes in the industry, and that it is super important, because a lot of us know people that have, that we've lost from cancer. And another thing I want to say too about protecting your skin in the heat is, when you go to work, right, there are some basic things that, should be simple and should be asked for. And for the most part, federally, water and things like that need to be provided to you. So just educate yourself on those type of laws and things, because it is important. And we lose too many people every year to heat and sun exposure. And I'll get off my my soapbox now.
All right. Yeah, just make sure you bring me some sunscreen next week. Everybody has the right to be safe, seen, and protected. As we come down to the final minutes of the show, our union brothers, sisters, and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 2 years on the picket lines, and yet while they're striking, they're still churning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. And once you have subscribed to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/ppg-donate. May flowers are blooming and awareness is also. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. May is also May 5th, I should say, was National Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and People. May is also Melanoma Skin Cancer Detection and Prevention Month. Take action and learn more today. When you take time to learn about others around you, you're making the world a better place. Awareness campaigns serve as a powerful reminder that there are steps we all must take in looking out for loved ones, the people in our community, and those who have been impacted. It's time to take one big step together and make a change. We want to give a great big thank you to David Marshall for sitting in for Mr. Reginald Small today.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Anytime that y'all need anything from me, just let me know. I enjoyed being on the show with everybody. I promised to chime in a little bit more, but I was just floored at all the information that was being passed today. And I was really taking notes and trying to make sure I can get this information out to everybody. So thanks again.
Okay, no problem at all. Thank you so much. And you can reach out to me and I can give you some more of the information that we have if you need it. That's no problem. I don't mind sharing.
Appreciate that.
An hour is not long enough to be with you, and a week is too long to be away from you. You have been tuned into the CWA Human Rights Justice Hour Power broadcast. I hope something you heard today has inspired you to take action toward creating positive change in the world. Every person has the power to make a difference, no matter how small. And by working together, we can create a world where human rights are respected and valued. So I encourage each of you in the listening audience to reflect on your role in promoting human rights to effect change in your communities and beyond. Know that you are not alone in your quest for a more just and equitable world. When faced with injustice, it can be easy to lose hope and give up. But remember, justice may be slow like the truth, but when it finally comes, it will stand. Until next Thursday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on KYOK 1140 a.m. and the all-new 106.5 FM, KYOKradio.org. See you next week.